One of the reasons I'm glad to be as old as I am is that it means I may be spared seeing what's going to happen to this country, either internally or as a result of international complications.
I love Thomas Sowell. You know, he's got more genius in his little finger than I'll ever have in my entire body, but he is so wrong. And it pisses me off, and it pains me to say it.
Before we get into our very intense topic, I did want to touch on this issue of where the West is going. And it's from an intellectual heavyweight, Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is a very prominent conservative professor, and his insights are absolutely invaluable.
Tom, I had dinner with Milton Friedman about 18 months before he died. He was still in perfect health at this stage, as far as anyone. As you know, he was in robust health and mentally acute until he was gone, really. And we were talking about his career. And then he became silent for a moment, and he said, the challenge for my generation, meaning mine, Milton Friedman's generation, was to establish an intellectually rigorous defense for human liberty. And then he pointed to me and said, the challenge for your generation will be to keep your liberty.
Yes.
How's that project, my generation's project of holding on to liberty, coming along?
Not well. One of the reasons I'm glad to be as old as I am is that it means I may be spared seeing what's going to happen to this country, either internally or as a result of international complications.
You think that America's greatest days are gone, full stop, that it's irreversible?
Nothing is irreversible.
All right.
Nothing is irreversible. But I think that we're like a team that's coming to bat in the bottom of the ninth, 5 runs behind. We can win it, but this is not I wouldn't bet the rent money on it.
Last question. What would you say, I was talking about Milton talking to my generation, what would you say to the next generation, what would you say to your grandchildren's generation about what they should be, with the America for which they should be preparing themselves?
Since I don't know what that America is going to be, I don't want to say anything to them. But I don't think. By the time they get here, I think the issue will have been settled one way or the other.
By then, it will be irreversible.
It'll be either we will have pull out of the dive, as it were, or else it will be all over.
You know, I like to end shows on a kind of upbeat note. Are there any cookie recipes for Christmas you'd like to share, Tom? Thomas Sowell.
That was 5 years ago. That was just before Trump won his election, and that was during a Obama presidency. I don't play these videos because I enjoy it. I play it because I want you guys to remember you can lose. There's no such thing. We're not able to hand in this assignment and do an all-nighter just before. You've got to put the hard yards in because we are there. We are at the all-nighter.
I love Thomas Sowell. You know, he's got more genius in his little finger than I'll ever have in my entire body, but he is so wrong. And it pisses me off, and it pains me to say it. Okay. The great America they're talking about, its best days are behind it. That's predicated on a quite puerile, immature, thoughtless view of history. Everything is a cycle. Everything's a cycle, folks. What's a great country? Where everything works? Or is it a great country where there is a struggle and they are building something that works? Or it's a country that's in decline and there are those that are slowing the decline and fighting against the tide of evil and destruction? Or is it a great country, the country that is on its knees and it builds itself back up again? And they're all great countries. That's what this misses. I quoted a movie, and ladies and gentlemen, do yourself a big favor. If you want to finish on a high note at the end of this, Google the short film called The Butterfly Circus. Just watch it. Greatness is the result of effort against adversity. That's it. And it doesn't matter where on the cycle you are. That's greatness. And there's a line from that film: the greater the adversity, or the greater the challenge, the more glorious the triumph. So please, for God's sake, stop wishing you were somewhere else. You are where you are, and you have this God-given opportunity to become something you've never become before, to do things you've never done before. And as I say to when I consult, and these are the chief executives, they're at the top of their game, and I say to them, without a word, without an inkling of shame, I say, you are not even at the beginning of what you can do with the rest of your life. You know, nowhere near the end. I don't care how old you are, I don't care how infirm you are. Whilst there is life in you, there is hope. So, I love Tom Sowell. Oh God, I love listening to this guy. But ladies and gentlemen, we are exactly where we are. And we have the opportunity to become the greatest country on earth. But we don't do that because we wait for greatness to be given to us. This cycle, it's up to us, and it doesn't matter where it is. Now, look, I'm 60 years of age. I've said it a number of times. My entire life has been holding back against this tide of evil, ever since I was a child. And I remember back in the 60s watching the degradation of TV shows and just thinking, this is inappropriate, this is wrong. In my life, most of my life has been holding it back, this inexorable movement of the communists, of evil, you name it. And now, at this point in history, in 2020, we're beginning to slow down that movement. And we are very close to halting it and slowly pushing it back. Now, I've spent my 60 years on the planet doing my job, and I'm pretty proud of what I've done and continuing to do. And say, your generation, Joel, you've got to take that strain, take that weight, and start to push it back. Now, I've had a great life, not because of me, but my life, the opportunity I've had has been fantastic. You're going to have a great life too, except it'll be fundamentally different to mine. The old saying, hard times produce good men produce good times, and there's a cycle. So it doesn't matter where you are on the cycle, accept it and get on with it. And stop throwing your hands up saying, like, God, I can't believe he said it. I won't be here to see it. What an appalling statement. With your last breath, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to stand up for this country, for your children and your grandchildren. What choice do you have? No. Every moment is an opportunity for greatness. And it doesn't matter where you are on the cycle, where you'd like to be. Where you are is where you are, and you've got to deal with it. Step up, save your family, save the country. It's as simple as that.
History fortunes the bold, and it remembers the bold. I think it was at the start of the movie Troy, with where Achilles is slept in, and the young boy was sent to wake him up to go fight the biggest man he's seen in his life. That's what he said, and he says, "I wouldn't want to fight him." As Achilles gets on his horse, and Achilles says, "That's why history will not remember you." You know, and that's the truth of it, guys. Do you want to be? You can have an average life, absolutely, but even an average life is under threat right now. You're a conspiracy theorist if you go out without a mask. Fight now while you sort of have a choice before you don't have a choice. Because if you fight when you don't have a choice, it might be too late. That's the truth of it.
Let me just finish with this. Just hang on. And this is a message to every Australian out there. And whether you believe it applies to you or not, it does. Because every one of us, as I said, has to become someone we've never come before. We have to become heroic, truly heroic. This is the dedication in the book. The heroes of history and poetry may be cruel, violent, self-seeking, ruthless, intemperate, and unjust, but they were never cowards. They do not falter nor give way. They do not despair in the face of almost hopeless odds. They have the strength and stamina to achieve whatever they set their minds and wills to do. They would not be heroes if they were not men and women of courage. This is the very meaning of heroism, which gives the legendary heroes almost the stature of gods. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a choice. You either step up or you don't. You either win or lose. I've made my choice. Time you made yours.
Just like this California sheriff who told Gavin Newsom, the trash governor there, the county will not be blackmailed, bullied or used as muscle against residents. Why do I highlight him? Because it's testicular fortitude, it's intestinal fortitude that we see there, and it's very important. What do you have?